on the power grab that took place at the hands of this administration, which I think you deserve a ton of credit for right off the bat.
I appreciate it.
This was in response to Texas drawing 4 districts at the behest of Donald Trump, the demand of Donald Trump. 5 districts that he felt he was entitled to.
That's right.
This past Tuesday, in Texas's primary elections, 4 of those districts had higher Democratic turnout than Republican turnout.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Did this whole effort backfire by Republicans? Was this a fool's errand by Republicans to have engaged in the first place?
It's still to be determined, but let's back up a little bit on this. You use the word entitled because that's exactly the word that Donald Trump used when he called Greg Abbott. He said, I'm entitled to 5 seats, which is remarkable and chilling just on its own. Then again, it's hardly surprising. This is a guy after January 6th, that day of love, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to steal the election. Democracy is for suckers, kind of the attitude. Then went down there, talking about finding 11, 12,000 votes down in Georgia. He knows, and I was with the speaker-to-be, Jeffries, an hour or 2 ago, he knows he's going to get shellacked in this election. He knows he's going to lose the midterm elections. So one thing we can all agree on, if we do our job. And that's why he went out and made that phone call to Greg Abbott to try to rig the election before 1 vote was cast. What typically is the case, and I say this with love and reverence to my party, our party, Democratic Party, so often our response to something like that would be to try to win an argument. To maybe go out, Brian, and we, work to maybe get an op-ed in the New York Times. I say, gosh darn it, this is so wrong.
Or maybe even a strongly worded letter.
Or maybe a strongly worded letter.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but.
And I'll be candid with you, that was kind of our inclination. I started with a tweet. I was very satisfied with myself. They said, we had 500 likes. I said, that's amazing. But it occurred to pretty much all of us, and Ryan, you were a real vocal leader on this, all holding us to a higher level of expectation and accountability, because this time last year, not many of us were sure. I mean, we were hand-wringing, we were struggling in every way, shape, or form as a party to figure it out. We were still in this, are we really going to do a forensic, what the hell just happened? And there was a sense that we're just truly weak and ineffective, and we weren't able to get anything done. And I think it was in that stew that we decided to do something a little bit differently. But of course, that required a few phone calls, and the first and most important was to former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who did the impossible. She had just a matter of days. We had to do a special election in response to draw these new lines, and she went to the largest delegation in the country and remarkably got back a few hours later, said, let's do this. Of course, we didn't necessarily know how to do this, and we went through a process over a course quite literally of about 10 days in total, and put this on the ballot with a 90-day sprint, raised $118 million. And we not only drew the line, but we held the line, and we pushed back, and we fought fire with fire, and we punched back at what happened in Texas. And Brian, the thing for me, it just, once a mind just stretched, it never goes back to its original form. And what was remarkable about it, and again, you were such a big part of it, was how, in the spirit of Obama, who we were just with a moment ago as well, it was all these self-organizing communities coming together. It wasn't a top-down campaign. It was Prop 50, after all, 50 states. And our state of mind was about losing this republic, 250th anniversary, the best of the Roman Republic, best of Greek democracy, co-equal branches of government, popular sovereignty, the rule of law, not the rule of Don. And it's increasingly, I think, dawning on all of us that for things to change, we have to change. And as a consequence of what we did, we're doing everything differently now, with a recognition how precious and profound this moment is. We can lose this republic. This guy is not screwing around. Let me highlight that. Brian, on the day we kicked off the campaign for Prop 50, It was at the Democracy Center in Little Tokyo. It's a sacred site in Los Angeles where we were interning, busing the Japanese. It's a sacred site. I underscore that because we had about 1,000 people at a rally, 2 U.S. senators, we had a dozen members of Congress, clergy, civil rights leaders to kick it off. And we looked outside. People were having a difficult time getting in. We're like, what's going on? They said, well, there's a bunch of masked men outside. We rolled our eyes. There's not masked men. There was one exception, a guy dressed up, I kid you not, as if he just came off the Burbank lot, Warner Brothers, in 1930s garb, including the haircut, guy named Bovino, Gregory Bovino, was out there with his private police force. Appeared to be private, no markings, no reference to who they're working for, an intimidation tactic to keep people from walking in. Poor guy selling, true story, strawberries across the street, disappeared that day. We finally tracked him back. He finally came back a few weeks later. Collateral damage. We said at that time, that is a preview of things to come. What more evidence do you need than what happened in Minnesota? Those guys clearly took an oath of office to Donald Trump, not the Constitution of the United States of America. On Election Day, again, if you think I'm overstating things, on Election Day, Bovino, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, the dark heart of the operation, sent out BORTAC teams. These are the Border Patrol Tactical Units. These are the folks with the Apache helicopters. On election morning, sent them to the highest profile location you can find, particularly after the Dodgers win the World Series, to Dodger Stadium, to get all the morning news, to send a message to our diverse communities already on edge, because we had 4,000 National Guard federalized, 700 active duty Marines, not sent overseas, but the second largest city in the United States of America, to send a message, don't bother to turn out the vote. We said at the time that is a preview of things to come. Of course, that came after Donald Trump sent out a Truth Social even earlier that morning saying the election in California is rigged. He also sent out the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi sent out his teams, election watchers and observers. The next day tweeted out, we have the evidence. And they went to the Supreme Court. A preview of things to come. I kicked off this book tour in the South, in Tennessee. We were down in Fulton County. Met with the commissioners, head of the commission. Trump is not only, did he take them with, all that team of folks, Tulsi Gabbard and everything else, he's now trying to impose to take over that commission for the election this year. A preview of things to come, to nationalize the election, or at least in 15 blue states. What's the SAVE Act all about? It's not about voter ID, it's about who gets to vote. It's about voter registration. This guy is not screwing around, and nor can we. And forgive the long-windedness, you opened up with Prop 50. That's what it represents. We have got to fight fire with fire. I wish it weren't the case. The idea that we were advocating for gerrymandering, the fact that we were advocating for literally politicizing and choosing voters, shows you how precious, again, and profound and consequential this moment is in our republic.
So you mentioned that that was a preview of things to come, and you repeated that line, and I think that that line is important to have.